Are you someone who loves the idea of an affordable offset guitar, but you'd like something a little bit different from the rest of the contemporaries? Well, this could be the answer to your prayers. This is the Slick SL56, and while on the face of it, it looks very similar to a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster style of guitar, dig a little deeper, and this guitar has myriad quirks and idiosyncrasies that really make it its own thing. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is start by telling you all about the specs and the features of the SL56. Then I'll play it for you in as many different musical styles and genres as I can manage today. And at the end, I'll give you a few more in-depth opinions about this guitar. Now, I've had it on loan from Slick Guitar's German distribution partner, Music Vine, in order to make this video. And I have a lot of feelings and a lot of things to say about this instrument, so make sure you stick around to those. Timestamps to everything, though, is going to be down in the description and comments if you'd like to move through to the parts of the video that will suit you best. But let's start with those specs and features. Now, the first thing you can see is that the SL56 is indeed that traditional offset shape. It's a rather large body, just like a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster, but pretty much everything else about it differentiates it. Now, we'll start with the price. Over in America at the moment, it's spring 2025. This is about $310, so very, very affordable, cheaper than Squier Classic Vibe even. And over in Europe, where I'm based, at the moment it's about 450 euros, so you've got a big price difference there, but that's often to be expected with guitars that are getting shipped around the world, especially in current times. Now, the SL56 is made in China, and well, we've got a beautiful aged indigo ash finish on this guitar. The body is swamp ash, and we've got 2 F-holes and 2 sound chambers here because this is a semi-acoustic guitar. Let me move you around to the back of the body there, and you can really see that wonderful aged indigo ash finish. No tummy cut or anything like that, but a traditional offset guitar body shape, and we've got this rather cool slick neck plate there as well. Back round to the front, and well, you start to see things that you wouldn't expect to see on an offset guitar of this price. Now, the 2 F-holes make it different for starters, and we've got a P90 pickup in the neck and a Telecaster style pickup in the bridge, which is something that you hardly ever see in a guitar of this type. Now, the pickups are also hand aged, and they're slick in-house wound pickups. In the neck, we have a vintage 50s voiced, kind of warm and jazzy sounding Slick Junior, and in the bridge, we couldn't be more contrasting because we have the 9.4K really overwound Fullerton lead T-style pickup, which is going to be snarling and biting and aggressive, everything that you would want from a Telecaster style bridge pickup. So we're really going to hear how these two pickups sound in terms of their differences, how similar they sound, and again how they work together. And you're going to hear all of that and more in the playing part of the video in a minute. What we also have here is a selection of brass hardware. Again, this is something unique to Slick guitars. So we've got a 3-way selector switch here, a master volume control, a master tone control, and possibly the most eye-catching appointment of all, which is this brass bridge here. This is milled from a single brass billet, and it's kind of unfinished as well, aged just like the rest of it. It's a wraparound bridge, and each of the 6 strings are individually intonatable as well. So a very cool thing. And just the final word on the body here, we really have a lovely sort of textured finish to this ash. It does feel very organic, very woody, very natural. It's a really nice feel, at least to me. Now, they don't kind of lacquer this as a standard guitar would be lacquered. They give it 1 coating of old-fashioned automotive paint, and then they sand it back. There's no wood grain filler or anything like that. So it really is kind of how it feels, and it really sort of connects you to the guitar in a way, and I really like that about it. Combine that with the beautiful indigo ash color finish, and I really like the way this guitar looks. Now, moving up to the neck, and we have a solid Canadian hard rock maple neck on this guitar, and that's fronted by a 22 fret Jatoba fingerboard. Slick don't tell us what size the frets are, but I think they feel like medium jumbos to me. We have a 43mm graphite nut, a 25.5-inch scale length, and a 12-inch fingerboard radius on this guitar. Now, in terms of the profile of the neck, well, it's a really nice C shape, really comfy to me. It starts off medium chunky and gets fairly chunky as you move up, so there's a good handful as you go up past the 12th fret, and I find that to be really, really nice. Now, in terms of finish on the neck, there basically isn't any, just like on the body, so it's really sort of satin and slick feeling, and really is very easy to get up and down. Moving up to the headstock, and we have that blacked out slick headstock, and on the back, 6 in line, again of their own design, brass and bronze pinion tuners here as well. So this is the Slick Guitars SL56, and what we're going to do next is play it. Now, my rig for today is going to be my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amp head, along with a selection of my favorite overdrive and distortion pedals to spice things up a little bit. We'll start on the cleanest of pristine cleans, and we'll end up in down-tuned drop D metal territory, and see if we can do some metal on the SL56, because why not? We can do it, so we should. Now, timestamps to everything down there if you'd like to skip to the parts of the video that suit you best, but don't forget to come back after the music's done to hear my in-depth opinions about this guitar, because I'll be telling you whether or not I think the SL56 is worth your hard-earned cash at the end of the day. So come back for my opinions and enjoy the riffs. Okay then, so that was the Slick Guitars SL56, and I hope you enjoyed the playing and the tones. I would love it if you could leave me a comment down there telling me what you think of this guitar. Is this the kind of offset that you could imagine having in your life? Do you miss the sort of extra circuitry that you'd get with a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster? Do you really like this pickup selection, the telly style one in the bridge and the P90 in the neck? Or would you prefer some more standard offset sort of pickups? Would love to hear your thoughts and comments as ever. Let's get a discussion going on down there in the comments. But now what I promised to do is tell you my sort of in-depth opinions about this guitar. I've had it on loan now for a few weeks from Music Vine to make this video and possibly a few more that you'll be seeing in the future on this channel. And well, I've played it a lot in this time because, spoiler, it is quite an addictive guitar, at least for me. Now, my first impressions of the guitar were fantastic. Now, when I saw this guitar online, I really liked the look of the finish. It looked pretty cool, but that doesn't sort of prepare you for just how stunning it is in the flesh. This Aged Indigo Ash finish is a sight to behold. It's a beautiful looking guitar and a beautiful feeling guitar as well, with that lovely ash sort of texture to it. It's a really organic, woody, natural feeling guitar, and I really connected to it straight away in that sense. So lovely in terms of looks. And as soon as I picked it up, I realized that I got one with a fairly decent weight too. Now, offset guitars like this, they are quite large in terms of the body, but this is a semi-hollow too, so I was hoping that we'd save a bit of the weight there. And this specific one weighs 3.45 kilograms. Now that's just under £7.10, which for me is fantastic. Anything under £8 is fine by me, so this guitar is a really decent weight, no problems there whatsoever. Next, I started to look at the build quality, and at this sort of price point, what you're looking for is sort of things that aren't quite up to scratch, and I haven't managed to find anything. So from the body, everything has been done really, really well in terms of this beautiful finish. The neck has been done really, really well too. From everything that I can find, there are no issues whatsoever. And in terms of setup, straight out of the box, no problems there whatsoever either. The tuners hold their tune very well, the nuts being cut really well. The action and the intonation on this guitar is really decent. The frets are really nice and smooth too. No complaints on the neck whatsoever. And with the body, again, immaculately conceived in terms of the finish, in terms of the way it looks and so on. And all of the hardware, all of this brass hardware, I should say, does its job in a first-class way. So no problems there whatsoever. Now, in terms of playability, I find this guitar a joy to play as well. I'm a huge fan of the neck. I love a nice smooth satin finish like you get on this one. And I love a medium to chunky C-shaped neck profile. And that's what we've got on this one too. Along with the good setup, again, it's a really addictive guitar for me to just kind of let the riffs tumble off my fingers with, so really nice in that way. Offset guitars are quite large in this sort of a shape, so if you're of a smaller disposition or you like a smaller, sleeker body, you might want to try this one out in person first, just to make sure that it's not too cumbersome for you. But I really don't think it's going to be a problem for anybody, and I find this guitar very nice to play in terms of the body too. For me, the upper fret access is good enough for my needs. You don't have a tummy cut or anything like this. This is just a slab of ash, of course, with those F-holes and the tone chambers in, but solid ash all the way, and I find that to be a very decent thing indeed, and it doesn't hamper the playability at all in my personal experience. And what I also really like is this solid brass billet of a bridge that we've got here. Very different from your standard offset. There's no trem, there's no whammy on this guitar either, but I find it a very comfy bridge to use to rest my hand on for palm muting and stuff like that, and that really aids in the playability, and also with the tuning stability with this guitar, which can be a bit of an issue if you're really abusing that whammy bar during your sort of ambient soundscapes sort of playing. But anyway, for me, in terms of playability, this guitar scores really highly. And the next thing we have to talk about is, of course, the sounds of this guitar. And this is the other area where the SL56 is going to be very different to your standard offsets at this sort of price point, because we've got this vintage voiced 50s based Slick Junior P90 in the neck, and that snarling, biting, overwound Fullerton lead telly style pickup in the bridge. That's something you basically never see on a guitar of this type at this sort of a price point. And well, for me personally, what a welcome change. Now, I am someone who loves my offset guitars, and I love my P90 pickups and my Jazzmaster pickups and so on and so on, but this P90 and T-style pickup in this guitar are a fantastic breath of fresh air in so many ways. Now, on the clean channel of my amp, straight away I noticed that the P90, being 50s and vintage voice, it is very warm and very jazzy. And when you compare that directly against the snarling, bitey aggression and the top end clarity of the Fullerton lead telly style bridge pickup, well, they couldn't be more contrasting. But when you put them together, magic happens. Beautiful funky tones, country sounds, arpeggios, and so on and so on. You heard it in the playing part. These two pickups go fantastically well together. And if you want any of that telly country sort of a twang and beautiful cutting through chords on the clean channel, you get that with this Fullerton lead telly style bridge bridge pickup. When we kicked in some overdrive with the Greer Lightspeed and my Marshall 1959 Super Lead pedal, beautiful tones for my beloved Indian alternative rock, and fantastic thick and cutting classic rock tones in the AC/DC sort of a vibe as well. Now the Greer Lightspeed is kind of my always on low to medium gain drive pedal when I'm doing indie rock and stuff like that, and this guitar sounds fantastic with it. Aggressive where you need it, biting in the top end, warm in the neck pickup as well, but never muffled, never kind of too much in any sort of a direction, just perfect for the tones that I would need. For the classic rock tones as well, stick a Telecaster style bridge pickup into a Marshall and I absolutely love that sound, and that continued here as well. Lovely meaty classic rock tones abound with this guitar. Now when we went on to the sort of harder rock tones and the punk rock tones, for the first time on my channel I used my Friedman BEOD Deluxe pedal and I thought it worked really well with this guitar. You're in modded Marshall sort of territory there, and it really excelled for those sounds as well. Now the bridge pickup on this guitar is super in terms of clarity. No matter how much gain you put into it, you really hear all of the notes in the chords that you're playing. It's really fast in terms of fast palm muting and chugging, a la Blink-182 pop punk riffs or stuff like that, and it works great for the harder rock stuff as well. If you want to move over to some more melodic lead sort of playing or some melodies and stuff like that, this neck P90 pickup is great for that too, with more gain. And finally we did the metal test with the Rev G3 distortion pedal tuned down to drop D, and the SL56 in my opinion performed better than it had any right to. Now this Tele style bridge pickup is wonderful in terms of clarity and its biting top end without ever sounding too shrill, and you're not going to get the massive amounts of low end that you would get from an active humbucker or something like that with this guitar, but if you want precise metal tones for fast chugging, you will get it with this guitar. It's really decent for metal, surprisingly so, and that makes the SL56 a fantastic all-rounder for many different musical styles. Now traditionally offset sort of guitars are used for sort of grunge and noise and alternative rock and stuff like that. This guitar excels for that, and it does a whole lot more besides as well. So in terms of the sounds, 2 thumbs up for the performance of the SL56. But if you've been watching this video and you kind of like the idea of this guitar but you're wondering what else is out there in this sort of a style, well, there's a bunch actually. What you could do is check out the other colours available of the SL56. If you don't want something kind of as in your face as this Aged Indigo Ash, they do a more traditional sort of aged sunburst sort of a colour, and they do some other ash finishes as well, so check those out too. And if you like this kind of aged organic sort of a feel of a Slick but you want different pickups or a different body shape, well, they do a number of those too. Previously on this channel we featured the SL55. There's going to be a video linked to that one there, and that's a Cabronita sort of a Tele in this similar sort of body sort of style as well, so a very cool guitar to try, and they have numerous other models that you can check out too. But in terms of other offset guitars at this sort of a price point with this exact pickup sort of configuration, there isn't really that much. You have to pay a lot more if you want to get something like one of the modern Japanese Fender Hybrid 2 guitars. There you can get a sort of offset guitar with a P90 in the neck and a single coil T-style pickup in the bridge. There's also a rather unique guitar by Larry Carlton, the i5T. That's a very quirky single cut guitar that has the same sort of pickup configuration. That's about $650, and you could try something like a Schecter PT to get a similar sort of pickup configuration for about $700-800. Those are great guitars to try as well. But otherwise, if you're looking for more affordable offset guitars, I can never really look past the amazing performance, looks and tones of my Harley Benton JA60cc. There's going to be a video of that one there as well. That one set me back about 170 euros back in the day, and that is a wonderful guitar. Again, that guitar also has a hardtail bridge, so you don't have any of the whammy vibrato action going on that either. It has Jazzmaster style pickups as well, so it's a different proposition too, and I actually feel like a comparison video might be coming on between these two guitars. So if you're not subbed already, you can do that now, and you'll get to see that video when it comes out in a few weeks time. Otherwise, in terms of offsets at this sort of a price point, maybe a little bit more, well, of course the number one choice is probably going to be the Squier Classic Vibe range. There's a bunch of different Jazzmasters or Jaguars there, different pickup types, different vibrato types, different finishes, and so on and so on and so on. The world is your oyster there with the Squier Classic Vibes, and they are fantastic guitars. And just as a final choice and recommendation here, recently I had the chance to check out the excellent vintage Revo series Colt. Video to that one is going to be up there somewhere. That's a Fender Mustang or Cyclone inspired guitar, again with a different pickup layout, different vibrato bridge options, and it's a wonderful little tonal beast too, so that's definitely worth checking out if you've got the chance. But what you should really do, of course, is head down to your local store, try out the SL56 along with the rest of the competition, and see which one works best for you. At the end of the day though, I'm a huge fan of this guitar. I didn't really know what to expect from it from the pictures and the specs that I'd seen online, but as soon as I got it out of the box, picked it up and strummed a few open chords, and it rang out the way it did, I was hooked, and I've been playing it ever since. For $300, it's an absolute no-brainer in America. For about 450 euros over in this part of the world, I still think it's pretty much a no-brainer, because at this price point, I really can't think of too much that can compete with it in terms of the feature set, and in terms of these wonderful sort of organic feels that you get from the body and the neck. This is an eminently playable guitar, a really, really cool thing, a really, really different thing too. Show up to band practice with one of these, and you can guarantee that the other players in the band won't have a Slick, so you'll really stand out on stage and in the studio as well. Now, I love the pickups that we've got with this guitar. They really work well together, and I'm an absolute convert to this overwound bridge style Slick Fullerton lead bridge pickup, a wonderful beast to behold that works for so many different musical styles, from country to metal and anything in between. It's a great pickup, so great tones, great playability, great sounds, great looks. What more is there to like from this guitar? Pretty much nothing really. It gets 2 thumbs up from me, and I hope that if you ever get to try one, you feel the same way. Now, if you have any more questions about the SL56, feel free to leave them down there in the comments, and I shall answer to the best of my ability. And if you're still around, would really make my day if you wanted to give this video a like, or maybe even sub to my channel, because that really does help. But that's been it for today. I've been Rich, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.